This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by State Farm Insurance.
Flying. I personally love it. The problem is these days you can be met with a late flight, a delay on the tarmac, lost or stolen luggage, or maybe even a missed connection.
Nobody looks forward to that. But now a new type of travel insurance is turning those headaches into less of a hassle. Since May, air travelers who have purchased the protection have been getting paid for their troubles up to $1,000 and sometimes within hours. It's called Air Care. And industry insiders say the idea is breaking the mold when it comes to travel insurance. Customers can purchase a plan up to an hour before their scheduled departure. And Jimmy, a policy costs just $25 for a domestic trip. Pretty cool if you get paid for a tarmac delay.
It's a good thing. But that's not the only protection plan that's giving consumers some peace of mind. Imagine being able to protect yourself from identity theft by making a simple insurance purchase.
Think about it. There's car insurance in case of an accident and home insurance in case of a fire. How about identity theft insurance in case you become a victim?
It is among options consumers are considering to avoid financial and emotional distress.
It's probably one of the worst experiences I've had in my life.
Russell Talbott lost $2,000 to identity thieves who managed to access his debit card and drain his checking account.
It literally is horrible because you work so hard for your money, and somebody can take it like that.
There's a good chance you know someone just like Talbott because ID theft seems to happen every day. Last year, there were 614 data breaches, putting nearly 92 million people at risk. The type of information tapped includes everything from home phone numbers and addresses to social security numbers.
It's only a matter of time till a criminal gets around to using your identity fraudulently.
So protect yourself as best you can. Here are some things that you can do to protect yourself for free. Check your bank accounts online or through a mobile app to monitor your checking and credit accounts daily. Every 90 days, place a fraud alert with the credit bureaus to make it difficult for someone to open up credit in your name. Kelly also suggests adding an extra layer of security at your financial institution.
If you change your address, if you change your maximum credit line, any information, you can request it that you as the customer provide a PIN.
Doing it yourself takes time. If you don't think you're up to the task, there are other options. For example, ID theft insurance.
You buy it for the peace of mind.
For $25 a year at State Farm, you can get ID restoration coverage if you should ever become a victim of ID theft. Counselors are available to help.
They know exactly who to contact, how to contact them, what information that they need. They will help you write letters. They will be with you every step of the way while you get your identity back.
For $10 to $20 a month, numerous companies promise email or text alerts through their ID protection services in case someone tries to use your credit card. They scan public records for abuse of your personal information, check the black market to see if your credit card number is up for sale, or train you how to protect yourself. Talbott pays $240 a year. Money, he says, is well spent.
Beyond well spent.
Now, experts say there is no plan against identity theft that's 100% foolproof, but you can significantly decrease your chance of becoming a victim if you pay attention to your most precious commodity, your social security number. Only give it to entities that provide you income and credit, federal or state benefits. Everybody else, off the list.
And we've discussed it before, but here's a reminder. If you do find that you've become a victim of identity theft, the Federal Trade Commission says your first step should be placing a fraud alert with a credit reporting company and confirming that they'll contact 2 other companies. The FTC says order your credit reports from each of the companies and dispute any charges that aren't yours. Then you'll create your identity theft report by telling the FTC about the crime so they can give you an affidavit. Then you'll use that to file a police report. Now, the affidavit and the police report make up your identity theft report.
That's a very important thing. So we've talked about travel insurance, we've talked about identity theft insurance. How about if we talk insurance for your little gadgets and gizmos?
Yeah, how many times have you bought a large ticket item like a television, a computer, or maybe a camera, and the clerk asked you do you want to purchase insurance? I know it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, now if you're like a lot of people, you are probably left standing there scratching your head. Should you purchase the insurance, or would your homeowners or rental insurance cover the item should something happen to it? So joining us today to clear up any confusion you may have is State Farm Insurance Agent Karen Davis of Salisbury. Karen, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so help us out with the homeowners or even the renters insurance and talking about the personal property there. Does it take care of my little electronic gizmos and gadgets?
It does. Personal property is covered under a standard homeowners and renters policy. Basically what it does is if you take your house and you flip it upside down, everything that falls out is your personal property.
Okay.
So it's just a great way to kind of know how to separate that. The things that you want to pay attention to is that on a homeowner's policy, there are some things that have limits as to how much they're going to be covered for. Things like jewelry, guns, fine arts, those types of things. Televisions are covered per value, depending on if you have a replacement policy or how that works with your carrier. The things that you also want to think about is under your homeowner's policy, a lot of times in today's environment, we have large deductibles.
Right.
So, you know, your deductible is going to apply to a claim. And your homeowner's policy covers things like fire, wind damage, hail damage, or if someone breaks in and steals things. So it doesn't cover for accidental type things, and there's other ways to provide coverage for that.
And now when you're talking covered, you don't mean that things that just stop working or get broken.
If I break something.
Well, if you have a separate policy through a personal articles policy, if you dropped your laptop computer and it was covered on that, then you would have coverage provided for dropping it. But it doesn't cover maintenance. So I know with large TVs now they have these large tubes of lights and things like that. If they just stop working, that would not be covered under a homeowner's policy or a separate policy like that.
Okay, so when we're talking personal items, personal articles policy, there are certain steps we need to take, correct?
Yes, there are. Most of the time you want to make sure that you have some type of an appraisal. And when you do a personal articles policy, it schedules an item out. So it takes that camera and it puts the serial number and it identifies what it is. If you have a piece of jewelry, it's going to take a look at how is it designed and what's it made like, what's it look like. So you would want to have an appraisal for things like that.
Okay.
And so when you have those items and it's scheduled on there, it's going to cover it for all risk.
So essentially come up with a home inventory?
A home inventory. You know, I've been doing this for about 14 years. Most people won't take the time to do the inventory.
Right.
Take a camera, walk through your house, take pictures.
Oh, okay.
And then for your larger ticket items, write those down, put with the pictures, take them outside of the home. So if someone does come in and they steal a small safe that you have or it catches on fire, you have that documentation somewhere else that you're going to be able to easily get to it.
And an appraisal is important because over time, value of your items can change.
It does, especially with jewelry because jewelry is an appreciating item. So you want to make sure that you talk to your insurance carrier when you're looking at a personal articles policy. There are inflation protection things that you can place on that policy so then you don't have to be so concerned about how the value is going to change. And then also having those things reappraised every so often, or you know, for collectibles, being able to look it up in a book and keep in current documentation.
And
that's important.
And that covers everything from little gizmos and gadgets, tablets, cameras, whatever falls out of your house when you flip it upside down.
That's your personal property.
Right.
On a personal articles policy, laptops and desktop computers can be covered, but one of the things, and this is probably because we're so new in the technology, tablets are still something that's not available to be covered under that.
Okay.
Cell phones, which are, you know, as we know, high ticket items, and unless you want to do new contracts and things like that, they're very expensive. So you really need to check with your insurance provider to find out what types of things they will be able to cover for you under that separate policy.
All right, always good to check with your
Thank you.
provider,
You're
like
welcome.
you said. And to read more from State Farm Insurance about homeowners and renter policies, go to WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page. So we talked about protecting our electronics. What if you had to protect yourself from your electronics? For one woman, she knows all about it. Find out what she says happened to her laptop, left her with burns all over her body. Plus, steps you can take to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to you.
And a little later on, a lot of us like to barbecue this time of year, even when it's chilly out. But it's no big deal to fire up the grill even then. We're going to make sure that you have a menu that'll accommodate all of your guests, even if they're vegan or vegetarian.
But first, we talked about protecting our money. Maybe instead you're swimming in debt. Our friends from Sussex County Federal Credit Union can help you get back afloat. Here's this week's tip.
On behalf of Sussex County Federal Credit Union, I'm Lindsay Coverdale with this week's Dollars and Cents tip. As we enjoy the sun and the sand, it's important to remember that the only thing that should be buried this summer are your feet. Unfortunately, you can often feel buried in debt with no way out, but there's a simple solution. One way to free yourself from high-rate credit card debt is by transferring existing balances to a Visa Platinum credit card with rates as low as 8%, no balance transfer fees, no annual fee, and credit limits up to $25,000. Together, we can achieve more.